Hey guys, today we're going to be making the pop-up hut with walls, and it's this little hut. You can open the top, you can have some guys in there, there's some walls, so it's a pretty good place to give your guys some cover and or have them explore this handy little hut. So we're going to learn how to make that right now. First thing you're going to need is copies of your hut with walls, PDF printed out, and you're going to have 3 sheets, one front and back, and 2 base pages. If you find that you're having trouble getting them to line up, it was helpful for us to print it out one-sided and then flip it manually and print the other side, rather than having the printer flip automatically. Also useful, a ruler, X-Acto knife, some extra blades, always nice when you snap your blade, and today I'm using double-sided tape to put this together. You can use glue. If you print on glossy paper, I'd recommend double-sided tape, but if you're printing on unglossed paper, then you know, a white glue or whatever will be perfect for it. Some scissors are nice to have. If you got an X-Acto knife, you'd probably be fine without scissors though. And a tool for scoring. My favorite tool for scoring, dried out ballpoint pen. Just remove the ink cartridge and away you go. So, it's a fairly simple one. Let's get started. First part is to assemble the base. And to do that, we've got our 2 pieces of backing material. Today they are 6 inches by 14 inches. And that will do nicely. Okay. When we're cutting out the base, we don't have to cut it out right to the edge, except on the places where it's going to be overlapping. So, right there, this large piece doesn't have any places where it's going to be on top of anything else. And you can see that the parts are labeled here and here, and the base center line is also labeled. Alright, let's attach these 2 pieces together. And push my tape down very well. Stick, go tape, stick. Yeah. So you match up the ground textures here, and you can see that that line that goes all the way down the middle of the base there. That's where we're attaching it together on this part. And that line is the base center line where everything's going to fold on this one. On some of them the line will come this way, but on this one the line is going from corner to corner. And really, I mean, you could put these together. There's no like specific order that they have to go on. As long as they're all glued on, the base will look fine. That's why I didn't put any glue points on there, because as long as you match up the textures and glue the base together to form a hexagon, then you're good, right? So this little hut with walls, I imagine it's maybe like an outbuilding on a farm or something. That's what I was thinking when I made it. Kind of overgrown. There's weeds like on the outside and inside. Like, you know, maybe it's been used to like, if the guys are like out in the field, storm comes up, kind of wait it out in this little shed. And then there's some walls there, like, you know, get some animals, you can kind of contain them a little bit. But then in a battle, right, you're hiding out in there, you're shooting arrows, or you know, blasters, or whatever game you're playing, right? I'm still excited to try out Starfinder. I haven't tried that one out yet. But I imagine there's a lot of blasters and a lot less arrows. Maybe both. No, wait, I did kind of try it. So they have like an app that you can just tell your voice activated device to play it, right? So I would say it right now, but I'm right next to the device and it would try to play it. So first you would say Alexa, and then you would say play Starfinder. And there's a cool little adventure you can play through just by talking to it. So that's the extent of my experience with Starfinder. Let's see. I played a lot of Pathfinder though. Love it. All right. So this is the base. We got that stuck together. Now we're going to attach the base to the basing material. We're going to fold it across. You know, helps. You saw me score this. We're going to fold it right down that line, and then we're going to put tape all around these edges on both sides so that it will be able to stick to the mat board that I'm using. You guys, you don't have to use mat board. I like it because it's pretty flat. So if you wanted to kind of layer the two or so, if you wanted to layer 2 or so of the pop-ups on top of each other, you could totally do that with mat board because it's not too bulky. And also it has a really good amount of weight to it, which helps just hold the whole pop-up open as needed. So that's my reasoning. That's why I like the mat board. It might be a little more expensive than some of the other options. I was fortunate enough to have a source of some lightly used and new mat board. So that's where I got it, but there's usually in every semi-major city there's a place that sells these sorts of papers at bargain prices. So, you know, look around, ask around. People are usually willing to share this info. You know, if you go to your local print shop and are like, hey, where do you guys buy big pieces of mat board? They might tell you. Alright, so to get it, to help it stay open, I like to have the pieces about 1/16 of an inch apart. And to do that, I like to set the base material here, and then lay the mat board up against it like that while it's on top of the other one, so that it gives it a little space in between. And And that little space is going to make it easier for the pop-up to lay flat when you open it. If you do attach it with them right next to each other, you'll be fine. If you find that it has trouble opening all the way and staying flat, you can take your X-Acto knife and kind of shave off a little bit of the material in the middle, but that's more work than doing it this way, so. I managed to leave a little bit of, there we go, let's get that out of there. Okay. So that's, I mean, for the base, that's where you're going to use most of your tape. About 6 or 7 feet of tape in there. Getting that all done. And then, that's not right, it's like 5. Oh, okay, that was bad. If you damage your mat board, try to put that piece like up in a corner so it's not going to be on anything. And do your best to tape it on straight. Oh my gosh. Alright. So once you get it all together, you should have a little space in between, and that's going to make it so it lays nice and flat when it's open. And then you're going to cut off your excess material. I like to use my paper cutter. Alright, let's trim off all this edge. And we're ready to work on the next part. Okay? Alright. Now this is a fairly simple pop-up. We've only got 4 pieces that need to go together. The first one is the most complicated, and that's basically going to form everything on the hut except for the roof. So what we want to do first is score that by tracing the lines from blue arrow to blue arrow. And in most cases there will be a line on the artwork that shows pretty clearly where that line is supposed to be scored. You look for a nice straight line that's not hand drawn and probably supposed to bend there or have something glued to it. So let's do that. We've scored all of our parts before we cut anything out. Rub your finger across it if you're not sure you scored it. And now we'll cut out part number 1. We're going to cut out this door first. This doorway. It's trickier to cut out these interior cuts after you've cut out the outside, so we're going to do that first. Pulling the X-Acto knife toward us, because when you push it away, it gets angry. No, when you push it away, it's more likely to like put a weird stress on the blade, I guess. I don't know. Probably fine pushing it away. This is the way I like to do it. Okay. But if you are about to cut yourself with your X-Acto knife, don't do that. I don't know if I've ever really I've cut myself with scissors a couple times. Alright, so there is that piece. This is part number 1. What we're going to do is fold it at each of these sections, and we're going to tape that on. Okie doke. And we're going to tape that into a little hexagonal box, I guess, or something. Attaching 1 to 1. And you could attach this to the base first. The order on this one's not too essential. Just as long as you make sure it all happens. Okay, so then you got 1 to be 1 and 1 to be 2. And you're going to make sure that you don't have a ton of excess tape. Alrighty. And then you're going to glue that down. So 1 to be 1 is going to be the back wall. And you're going to match up those ground textures and tape that into place. And then 1 to be 2 is the area by the door. And you're going to tape that down. Okay. So you got that piece in. Let's go ahead and do part number 2. Part number 2 is the big wall, and it really only attaches to the base. Pops up in classic corner pop-up style. One of the simplest type of pop-up folds. And one that really has a ton of stability, and there's not a whole lot that can go wrong. So I like it, very reliable. So this is part 2, and it's the bigger wall section. Two to be 1, 2 to be 2. And the B just means being glued to the base. If it was being glued to another part, it would have a number like 2 to 1 or 2 to 3. Alright. So then we got 2 to be 2, 2 to be 1. And we just line these up with the boxes there and the textures. Make sure they're aligned with the corner. There. There we go. Okay, that is part 2. And now we attach part 3. Very similar process, only slightly smaller. So this pop-up would be a great one to do starting out. If you are just getting into this, there's not a lot of things that can go wrong or parts that need to be attached just right. But it's a great piece of terrain. For your battles, because it provides a little bit of cover, a little bit of higher ground. You know, if somebody stands on the roof of this thing, and stability-wise, it's great. I'd say that roof is going to be able to hold as many metal 28mm figures as you can fit on there for sure. Alright, so we've got 3 to B2 and 3 to B1. And now we have most of our structures on there. We can try folding it flat, see if it works. It does fold flat. So that is working as intended. Next we cut out T1 and tab 1. Now we're going to want to attach, we're going to want to slot tab 1 onto these little prongs on part 1 before we attach T1, whose job it is to hold tab 1 in place. Alright? And there's a lot of ones, a lot of tabs or parts, but it's pretty simple once you get the knack of attaching these tabs, because you'll see that's just the way they need to be. And don't forget to cut out that line. Yeah, it's tricky. It's maybe a part you'd want to use scissors on. Okay, so our last part. We slot tab 1 onto these little prongs on part 1, and then we can attach it, and T1's job is to hold that all down, hold down the fort. So we put some adhesive on T1, attach T1 to part 1, which holds it all in place. And there we go. We've got our pop-up hut with wall. It's got a little roof on there, and you're ready to go. So thanks for watching. You can find these at stonehavenmini.com. Find this one and some that are a lot more complicated. Thanks for watching.